to this amazing online webinar on the theme Hindu Christian Dialogue for Fellowship, a series of online lectures and discussions jointly organized by Ecumenical Christian Center, Sri Ramakrishna Mission, Office for Ecumenism and Dialogue, Catholic Bishops Conference of India, and Focal Area Movement. Today we have a genius. He's an amazing scholar. He won the hearts of thousands of students around the world, none other than by Professor Dr. Ashok Aluru. Professor Dr. Ashok Aluru is currently director at the Center for Excellence of a former producer organization, an institute of Government of Karnataka in collaboration with the Department of Horticulture in University of Horticultural Sciences, Bagalkot. Professor Dr. Ashok Aluru received a doctorate, PhD in agriculture from Dharwad, India. He has more than 20 years of experience in agriculture, higher education, international cooperation, natural resources management, farmers institutions, etc. He held different positions in Swiss Agency for Development Cooperation, International Crops Research Institute for the Semi-Arid Tropics, and University of Horticultural Sciences, Bagalkot, Karnataka, India. Also served as Vice Chancellor in Anantapur, Andhra Pradesh State in India. Currently serves as a Director, Center of Excellence for Farmer Producer Organizations. He has received many prestigious international awards, including honors from ICRISAT, which stands for International Crops Research Institute for the Semi-Arid Tropics, for his stunning contributions to reduce poverty, malnutrition, environmental degradation. Honorary recognition from FCRI Thailand, honorary credential from China, honors from the government of Mozambique and the Republic of Swaziland, Sarvottam Seva Award, Science Communicators Award, and Independence Day honors from Government of Karnataka. He has served as honorary expert for the Food Security Program of Mozambique and the Republic of Swaziland, member on Regional Committee of UNDP GEF, Israel Technology Committee, and many other committees. Sir, we are fortunate and extremely delighted to have you in our midst virtually. Professor Dr. Ashok Aluru won, as I told, he won the hearts of not only students, but many people, irrespective of their language, color, creed, and religion. We're extremely delighted to have you with us. With due respect and immense gratitude, I cordially invite you to present the paper. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sukumar Babuji. It's indeed a great pleasure for me to participate in today's Hindu Christian Dialogue for Fellowship, which is jointly organized by Ecumenical Christian Center, Bangalore, Sri Ramakrishna Mission, Office for Ecumenism, Dialogue, Catholic Bishops Conference of India, Folklore Movement. It's very nice to see all learned scholars who are part of this today's program. And Father Matthew has been a great friend of me, and he has been asking me to speak about Lord Basaveshwara, one of the greatest social reformers of India. I will try to touch upon few things. It's very difficult to cover the entire life and service of Lord Basava in a very short time. I will try to do whatever little possible that I can do. And with this brief note, I would like to get on to the topic. Lord Basaveshwara was a saint of 12th century. He was a great humanitarian, philosopher, thinker, a social reformer, a revolutionary who taught that right conduct is heaven, who said that work is worship, who preached the ideals of simple living and equality of all people. Basaveshwara is said to have been a mystic by temperament, an idealist by choice, a statesman by profession, a man of letters by taste, a humanist by sympathy, and a social reformer by conviction. He practiced what he preached, and he fought against the practice of caste system and rituals in the society. By virtue of his great philosophy and social revolution, he is also called as Kranti Yogi, a person who brought revolution in the society. He is also recognized as the Vishwaguru, the and also Vishwa Vibhuti and also Bhakti Bandhari. Bandhari is a treasure of devotion. His teachings and preachings go beyond all boundaries and they're quite universal and eternal. He advocated a new way of life wherein divine experience was the center of life, giving equal opportunities to all aspirants, regardless of the gender, caste, creed, color, and social status. The cornerstone behind his movement was the firm belief in a universal concept of God. Basaveshwara was a proponent of monotheistic concept of formless God, a true visionary with ideas ahead of his time. He envisioned a society that flourished, enriching one and all. In addition to being a great mystic, Basaveshwara was the prime minister of Southern Kalachuri Empire in South India. He originated the literary revolution by introducing Vachana Sahitya in Kannada language. Many great saints, sages, and mystics of the time joined his movement, enriching it with essence of divine experience in the form of vachanas. Vachanas are nothing but the literary writings, sacred hymns in Kannada that define a new way of looking at God and new way for looking at the life. Basava's way gave birth to a new religion. We call that as Sampradaya in Kannada, a dharma or a religion. We call that as Lingayata Dharma or the Lingayata religion. Other synonyms for Lingayata Dharma are called as Basava Dharma. It's also called as Basava religion, Sharana Dharma or Sharana religion, Vachana Dharma or Vachana religion. All are synonymous to Lingayata religion. I would like to just give a brief, background to his, birth and childhood. It's very interesting to know about Basava's childhood. Lord Basava was born in the year 1106. His parents are Madarasa and Madalambike. They were Shaivite Kamme Brahmin family. They belonged to Brahmin, a sect, and they were living in a small town of Bhagewadi in northern Karnataka. Madarasa and Madalambike, both parents, they were very pious and they were very religious in their practices. According to the history, the husband and wife were devotees of Nandishvara, a god in Bhagewadi. And his mother, Basava's mother, was longing to have a son, and she used to offer regular worship to Lord Shiva and used to pray him to fulfill her desire. One day, after performing the worship, she sat in the meditation, and a jasmine flower placed on the Shivalinga as an offering fell into her lap, and she took it with the greatest devotion. And the night, she had a dream. Lord Shiva from Kailasa had sent Nandi, the bull on which he rode, to this world. Nandi came to the house of Madarasa and Madalambike, and there was a light everywhere. The next morning, Madalambike, she revealed the dream to her husband Madarasa, who told it's a good sign and said that they will have a worthy son who would exalt the entire family and uplift and enlighten the entire world. In course of time, Madalambike gave birth to a very charming baby boy whose face shone with brightness, not of this world. The guru of their family, he advised the couple to name him as Basava. If you look at his childhood, Basava, when he grew up as a lovely boy, and he was a feast to the eyes and hearts of his parents and all others in Basavana Bhagewadi. Basavana Bhagewadi is a place of birth. Even at such a tender age, he would think of himself and form his own views. There used to be several religious ceremonies in Bhagyavadi. Basava, as a child, would want to know meaning of everything, which was not possible for the elders to clarify them to his satisfaction. There was a traditional caste system, according to which some were considered high and some were considered low in the society, which seemed quite wrong to Lord Basava in his childhood. He used to think and say that all should be treated as equals and all should be pure and they should be devoted to God. Everyone should work and earn their livelihoods and contribute for the betterment of the society from their excess earning. The liberal views, such as these, took shape in the mind of Basava even in his childhood, which was indeed the grace of the God. Basava grew up to an extraordinary child, very intelligent and quick learning. His father, being a learned man, wanted his son to be instructed in all Vedas and Upanishads and also gain a lot of spiritual knowledge. So Basava, being a very clever child, soon could recite verses from Vedas, and right from his childhood, he disliked the hypocrisy of the Orthodox people. He was, contemplative mind, and he would often ponder over questions like why people performed animal sacrifices during religious ceremonies, why people worshipped snakes but killed them when they entered their own houses. So he used to come out of all such questions. At the age of 8, there is a tradition, in Brahmin community, that they put the thread ceremony. This small incident sparkled a light of great revolution in Basava's mind. Basava, at the age of 8, in accordance to the religious custom, his father decided to perform Upanayana. Upanayana in Kannada, it is nothing but investing a holy thread called as Janivara for Basava. Basava's inquiring mind wanted to know what is the sacred thread, why we should wear it. To Basava's query, his father explained to him that when Brahmin boys grow old enough to be instructed in religious scriptures and start their formal education, they are invested with the sacred thread. But Basava argued why other castes did not wear it. He was asking all these questions to his father. Basava started raising several questions on the meaning of thread ceremony and how he needed it. He insisted that his elder sister, he had a sister called Nagalambike. She should also be, given with a thread. He even refused to go through any ceremony that made discriminations between people. This is at the age of 8. Even Father Madarasa, when he took aback and he felt pained by the questions of Lord Basava. Basava was very clear and he was very firm in his stand. So he did not change his mind. He did not accept the thread ceremony and all the rituals, and he decided if it is embarrassing to his parents, he said, I will not stay here. I will quit the home and get out of Basavana Bhagyavadi. This is at the age of 8. Many of our children at the age of 8 do not understand anything. But this was one situation, one instance that sparkled, in his mind that men and women should be treated equal. Why the thread ceremony only to the boys? Why not to the girls? So when he said he will not accept the thread ceremony, the entire society looked at him. They were not ready to accept him. And Basava said, I would like to quit the house and then go for higher studies. So he, leaving his home once for all, he set out for Kudala Sangama. Kudala Sangama is one of the most holy places in India, and that is regarded as the holiest place for Lingayats. This is again in northern part of Karnataka. This bold and firm decision of Basava at the age of 8 amazed everyone in Bhagyavadi. But no doubt it was an indication of a great religious revolution that he was to bring later part of his life. Basava disproved the method of parrot-like teaching without understanding the meaning of it. Everything he used to ask and understand. So he left his house, he left his parents and moved towards Kudala Sangama, the place where he got his enlightenment. Kudala Sangama is a very sacred place for Lingayats, as I said, and this is a place where three rivers join. And there's a beautiful temple called Sangameshwara Temple, the temple of Shiva, and Sangameshwara being the personal deity of Lord Basava. He spends 12 years in Kudala Sangama, studying all forms of education, Vedas, Upanishads, everything, whatever was available, he reads. And even here, he found distinctions, between the caste, the creed, which was prevalent, in the system. And he was very unhappy with those writings in these, great epics. So still he yearned for spiritual enlightenment, and he wanted to spread his spiritual message to the world. And he realized that for his earning, he has to do a great job in the days to come. And after 12 years of education, the wisdom, Basava, conversed with several scholars. He used to interact with great saints, great poets, great scholars of the society, and he developed his spiritual and religious views in association with his societal understanding. He inculcated his views of believing the presence of only true, perfect God. Additionally, he created people who perform social services like removal of untouchability, superstitiousness, confusions, temple culture, and the priesthoodness. He also believed that people who were in search of false God needed to be shown the right way. He preached equality among mankind and condemned all barriers of caste, creed, color, sex, fight, against the caste system. A new chapter began in his life. Basava would, get up early in the morning every day, go and take bath in the rivers, go and worship the God, and then get into his studies. All people admired Basava's deep devotion and the worship of the Lord. Basava studied the lessons of the day and also read several books connected with each subject. And he had the same concentration in his study as in the worship. So that is how he became a greatest scholar. After reading the books, he would discuss certain points with his teachers, scholars, and then he would go and attend the classes to participate in other activities. He enjoyed long walks on the bank of river in the evenings. His scholarship, his devotion, his modesty, and good behavior soon made him the most beloved person in Kudala Sangama. Smart, active, simple and frank, and always cheerful as he was also a serious reflective nature. This personality was shaping itself, most wonderfully in Lord Basava. His teachers felt very proud of him. There were teachers, profound scholarship, and deep religious convictions in the academy, and students were given both worldly and spiritual education in Kudala Sangama. It was not the type of education that trained students to pass the examinations and get jobs the way that we are doing. So Basava, the aim of education was to help the development of inner self of the students and prepare them to achieve something great in the life. Basava got the best out of his studies. Years rolled by. He learned what he was, in need of for his worldly life. He also gained, spiritual learning. Basava always pondered over the meaning of life, the final goal, and the duty of human life. Basava's education in the institution came to an end. I means in the years, at the age of 20, he completed all the studies. And then Basaveshwara's remarkable personality, fame, had spread far and wide. People started talking about Basava. And Baladeva was the minister in the Kalyana kingdom. He heard much about Basaveshwar and he came for his convocation ceremony. King Bijjala was ruling the Kalachuri dynasty in, Basava Kalyana. Baladeva, hearing the glorifying facts about Basaveshwara, he visited Kudala Sangama. He was very happy to meet Basaveshwara. Baladeva thought it would be a very good thing if a brilliant personality like Basaveshwara held some responsible position in the kingdom of Bijjala. He felt the prosperity and the fame of kingdom would grow. And Basaveshwara had already thought deeply about his career and his aim in life. The idea of entering into service in the king's court had never occurred to him. He has never thought of it, but he thought that it might be the God's will. So he gave his consent, and few days after that, Basaveshwara traveled, to Kalyana. The grace of Lord Sangamanatha, the best wishes of all his, well-wishers went with him to Kalyana. At a very young age, he held several bigger responsibilities. On arrival in Kalyana, so Basaveshwara started his career as a junior officer in the treasury of King Bijala. Basaveshwara was a great economist. He found the office in mess and all the officials were lazy. He spared no pains to set things right, and King admired his sharp intellect and administrative capacity. A copper plate containing an old inscription was discovered in the kingdom, and the writing was in coded language. None of the language experts in the kingdom were able to read and understand it. And finally, the plate came to Lord Basava. With his extraordinary intelligence, he was able to understand and explain its contents to the king, which enabled the king to find out a hidden treasury bringing enormous wealth to the state treasury. Basaveshwara suggested several plans to the king to use the wealth for the welfare of the people of kingdom. Bijala was greatly pleased. King was very, very happy with this event, and he appointed Basaveshwara as the head of the treasury. He became the finance minister in the kingdom. Later, Basava married to Gangambike, the daughter of Minister Baladeva, and Neelambike, who is the adopted sister of King Bijala. So he marries two women. The new family and the new office increased his responsibilities. The field of work also grew very much. Basaveshwara was young, but already held a very high place in the kingdom. Some people in the king's court grew very jealous of him because he used to be very, very intellectual. Basavana staunchly believed in the casteless society where each individual should have equal opportunity to rise up in life. So he thought of creating a place of interactions. We call that as Anubhava Mantapa. So this is regarded as the world's first parliament, where there were 770 representatives representing different caste, creed, color, class, all type of people. There were even representations. There were almost, people from every sect of life. They were the representatives in the Anubhava Mantapa. Even today, it is regarded as the first parliament of the world. So to give force to the noble mission, he conceptualized the Anubhava Mantapa. This is an academy of mystics, saints, and philosophers of Lingayata faith, and they acted as a fountainhead of thoughts on common human values and ethics. He also made Allama Prabhu, another great mystic, to preside over Anubhava Mantapa, like a speaker of the parliament. Anubhava Mantapa also had numerous Sharanas. They had 770 Amarganangalas, means they were the representatives of people from different sects. Many times we feel very proud that we have constituted a great parliament. The entire idea of the parliament system comes from Basava. So there were 330 great scholarly writers who used to write the Vachanas, and there were 1.96 people at that time. Almost close to 2 lakh people were, they were from all state of the society. They were the participants of the kingdom. Basaveshwara himself joined as a participant. He never, talked himself, or he would have become the chairperson of the Anubhava Mantapa, but he did not. Basava himself joined as a participant. There were other great philosophers like Akka Mahadevi, Akka Nagalambike, Allama Prabhu. So several scholars were there. Even at the time he came to Kalyana, he checked out in his mind the program of spiritual awakening, and he used Anubhava Mantapa for this purpose. Beliefs of high and low had broken the society into pieces at that time. Meaningless rituals had become important, and there was no equality in the society, no social and economic justice to people, and the essence of religion had slipped into the background. Real devotion and the virtuous life had disappeared. all did not have the right to perform puja. Only one sect of the society can do puja and not everybody. So Basaveshwara made the principles of equality for all on the basis of his religious life. He performed new spiritual institution on a democratic foundation that he called this as Anubhav Mantapa. Anyone, whatever caste by birth he belongs to, can become the member of the Anubhava Mantapa. Women were also allowed to join it. Piety and good character were the prerequisites to join Anubhava Mantapa. That was the qualification. People should come from a great background. People should come from a clean heart. People should come from a clean mind. Anubhava Mantapa soon became very popular across the country. Many devotees from different parts of India came to Kalyana and joined the new order. You may wonder, Basava's parliament, Basava's Anubhava Mantapa had representatives from Afghanistan. There were kings of Kashmir and all. They left their kingdom. They came and joined Lord Basava. So that was the great, order that he created in Anubhava Mantapa. These devotees were provided with all food facilities, puja and Mahamana. Mahamana is nothing but the residence of Lord Basava. So all his people used to serve the people, and then there used to be a lot of discussions on the religious and spiritual matters, matters pertaining to empowering people, matters pertaining to uplifting the people, the downtrodden people, people at the lowest strata of the society. The number of participants increased every day, day by day, and people in the king's court were very jealous of Basava's great idea. They were thinking that he will make everybody equal, and then people at the lower strata will not serve them. Also, that was the fear that people in the kingdom had. They reported to king that Basaveshwara is feeding large number of his followers. Lakhs of people are eating in his house, and the money is taken from the king's treasury. So that was the complaint given by people who were jealous of Basava. So Bijjala inquired that he informed that the expenses of all such devotees is by the earnings of the devotees and not from the king's treasury. They checked and they found that not even a single pay was misused by Lord Basava. So these false charges made by the jealous courtiers only established Basava's perfect honesty and increased his fame. After death of Baladeva, the king who was the prime minister, Bijjala made Basaveshwara as the prime minister of the kingdom. Basaveshwara proved very efficient in this new office. He led his usual simple life. He never used all luxuries that was provided to a prime minister. His thoughts were always high, and he was very pure in his heart. His utterances were like strings of pearls. He was polite and he was very civil. With folded hands and bowed head, he always served the people. While moving on with the common people, he respected everyone, and in the matters of justice, he was always for and never yielded to any personal considerations and pressures. He was fearless even in the face of great difficulty and danger. Basava said that the roots of social life are embedded not in the cream of society, but in the scum of the society. It is his witty saying that the cow does not give milk to him who sits on the back, but it gives milk to him who squats at its feet. So with this wild sympathy, he admitted high and low like one into his fold. The Anubhava Mantapa, established by Basava, laid down the foundation for social democracy in the kingdom. Basaveshwara believed that a person become great not by his birth, but by his or her worth to the society. So that was a great philosophy. So if you look at the philosophy preached by Basava, it's a model to the world even today. Basaveshwara continued his mission of formation of a new and a modern society through Anubhava Mantapa on the basis of great principles called by him. The principles includes presence of only one God with many names, surrendering of oneself to the God in devotion, compassion as the root of all religions, treating all living beings with kindness, living for the welfare of all, not living for selfish and personal interests. He also said, those who are acceptable in this world will be acceptable in the next world too. People should lead a proper life as householders. Only then they will be fit for spiritual life. One need not give up the family and become a monk. Even with a family, you can attain the highest, spiritual levels. The man should not be proud, thinking, I give this, I do that. The man does what a man does. He should not be of devotion in his heart. It should be for the sake of show or publicity. One should not do it for publicity or even to win the public prize. A true devotion and virtuous conduct should be given a greater importance than the outward religious formalities. He also said one should lead a clean and good life both within and outside. A pure mind is more important than scriptures and conventions. Basava's philosophy also says all people should have equal opportunities for religious life. Birth, profession, position, or sex should not make no difference between the people. One should not eat or drink just to please the tongue. Food and water should be taken as prasada, the gracious gift of Lord. Humility is God's love. Never try to show off power and position, and do not be vain. Everyone should take up a fair and honest means of livelihood. No one should peck out of the daily earnings. One should take only as much as required for the maintenance of himself and the family. Rest should be offered by way of service to the God for the benefit of the society. Everyone should set right crookedness, of their mind. Everyone should try to raise to the level of godliness through prayer, practice, and meditation. This is the goal of life. These teachings were not just words and speeches or books. They were practiced by Basava, his followers, all those 770 devotees, in their daily life, and which was followed by those 2 lakh followers of the Basava. There were men and women of different professions and social ranks among them. Basaveshwara always practiced the principles and philosophies and then preached them. So that is the difference. We call in Kannada Nade Nudi Sanskriti, walk the talk. So first you preach, you practice, and then you preach. So once, what happened was the cows of his house were stolen by some thieves, leaving behind the cows, young cows. They were hungry, and these young cows were crying for their mothers. Basaveshwara's heart was moved, and he made arrangements to find the thieves and send the cows to the thieves so that they could be with their mothers. The kind act of Basava made these thieves feel ashamed and sorry, and who surrendered and reformed themselves and lived very honestly after that. Thus, Basaveshwara, by his noble influence on the several, deceitful and cunning fellows, changed the course of their lives. Many were marvelous deeds. There are many such marvelous deeds done by him. The society of Shiva Sharanas, the devotees of Lord, formed by Basaveshwara, and the high ideals, it practiced through a new strength of masses. Basaveshwara fame spread everywhere, through the model that he set by practicing and then preaching. If you look at the teachings of Lord Basava, he believed in casteless society. One of the important teaching work is worship. He says work is worship. He condemned the caste system. He also condemned the ideal worship and all these yagnas and yagas. He stated that human body itself is a temple. He respected the greatness of the woman. If you look at the mystic writings of Basava, they're called as vachanas. Basava has written thousands of vachanas. Basaveshwara wrote several vachanas, and he wrote them in a very easy and simple language, even for a common people to understand the religion and its principles through his great writing. If I have to tell you one of the most wonderful vachana written by him is that he says, do not steal. These are the most important principles, written by Basava. Do not steal, do not kill, do not lie, don't be angry, do not be scornful of others, do not glorify yourself, do not insult others. These are the means to inward purity. These are the means to outward purity, and these are the means to be one with the Lord. Such a great, ideals were preached, they were practiced, and they were given to the common people. And he also says in one of us vachanas, he says, heaven and man's words are not elsewhere. Huh? Speaking truth is heaven, uttering lies is man's word. Righteous conduct is heaven, unrighteous conduct is hell. Say, sir, sweet and soft, heaven is there. Say, you feller, vulgar and rough, and that is hell. He says, it is difficult for me to translate his vachanas into English because I will not be able to communicate the exact meaning, the depth of these vachanas, but I'm still trying to, place few of them. Basavana did not have any worldly desire. He said, never do keep by in the store one streak of gold or one yarn of sari, desiring for today and tomorrow. I swear this as a oath by you and your ancient devotees. He prays this to Lord Basangameshwar. So here he declares in the name of God that all his devotees of all the times that he would never hold, gold or provisions in greed, expecting that he would need them someday. He never begged or cringed before others or for anything. He says in one of his vachana, for a fear of danger to my body shall not ask, please protect me. For a fear of losing my livelihood, I shall not ask, please give me. As is feeling, so it happens. Come what may, pain or gain, I shall never deviate from you, nor shall beg men for anything. This I swear by your name. He writes in the name of Lord Kudalasanga. Means these were wonderful writings, preachings of Lord Basava. He was not afraid of anything. In one of his vachana, he says, let what it comes tomorrow come today. Let what is come today come this very moment. Who is afraid of it? Who hesitates for it? Since he had completely surrendered to the God, realized, and he relied entirely on the grace of Lord, he was so fearless. You are my father, he says, Lord Kudalasangama, the personal deity of Lord Basava. He says, you are my father, you are my mother, you are my brother, you are all my kith and kin. I have none except you, Lord Kudalasangama. Deva, either you dip me in milk or you dip me in water, only thy will be done. So all such beautiful, writings are there. So it is basically through his wonderful mystic writings, Basava became very close to the hearts of the people. In one of his vachana, he very nicely says, the power of knowledge destroys ignorance. The power of light dissipates darkness. The power of truth is foe of all untruths. The Sharana's experience of God is the sole cure of the worldliness. Such beautiful writings were written by him. If you look at the way Lord Basava respected all religions, maybe I would request Father Matthew, if I have another opportunity, we can have a comparison how the principles and practices of Lingayatism and principles and practices of Christianity, they have a lot of similarities. We will try to, have a comparison. Basava, though he was a Lingayat himself, he respected all other faiths. He gave financial help to all his followers and other devotees. His rivals became jealous of him. They tried to spoil his name by complaining to the king, and he did not care for that. And he preached love, he preached truthfulness, he preached the virtues of life. Besides working for his sect, he also brought a social revolution by trying to improve the status of women and remove the distinctions of caste, creed, and give importance to dignity of labor. Basava always had been devoted to Shiva, dedicated himself to the service of the god. He found the caste system and ritualism in the society was shackling and senseless. He created new community with the egalitarian ideals, disregarding the caste, class, and sex. He challenged orthodoxy, rejecting social convention and religious rituals. All the poets who versified in this period, they enriched the treasure of Vachana poetry, and all the literature consists of remarkably striking lyrics. Basaveshwara wrote devotional vachanas and established the Lingayat sect with 8 features based on the rejection of inequality of every kind, of ritualism and taboo, and exalting the work in the world in the name of Lord. He says in one of his vachanas, the crookedness of the serpent is straight enough for the snake hole. The crookedness of the river is straight enough for the sea. And the crookedness of our Lord's men is straight enough for our Lord. Such a beautiful, writings, made him go closer to the hearts of the people. He preached, work is worship. In Kannada, it's called as Kayakave Kailas. Kailas is a heaven. Your devotion to work, your conviction to work is the only way to, ensure your presence in the heaven. He condemned the idol worship. He abolished the vernacular. He adopted the vernacular as the medium of inculcating supreme truth. He said, unless we speak in the language that people understand. So he preached everything in Kannada. He gave to women an important place in the religious and social life. Till then, women were not treated equal to men. Even we can see, even today, we don't have, we are still trying to bring reservation in the politics. In the political reservation, we say at least 33% there should be women representation. We are not able to still achieve it. But the reservation, it was Lord Basava, 900 years ago, talked about equality for women. He is the first person who talked about, the bringing equal position to women. So every woman on this earth should remember Basava's contribution towards this. He prescribed one ideal for realization of every individual, whether is born low or high. If you look at the philosophy of management, I always try to look, whenever I think of Basava, I always try to relate his, principles, his practices, his preachings to the today's management system. Management, as he says, is the art of getting things done. Management is the process of designing and maintaining an environment, in which individuals working together in groups efficiently accomplish the selected aims. Management has been understood as a function of planning, organizing, staffing, leading, controlling. The concept of management has been evolved and developed since ages and has been elaborated in brief by schools of several management thoughts. There have been tremendous contributions by researchers, practitioners to the concept of management. As a result, management has been understood in different thoughts. In management, managers have multiple roles to perform, and in order that they influence by not just by eternal environment, but also by the external environment. The constraining influences of external factors on the enterprises are even more crucial in international management, and in the external factors may be economic, they may be ethical, legal, ecological, social, technological. Management as a function has its root, deeper in the society. And if you read the mystic writings of Lord Basava, all these principles of management, we find them in one or the other writings. The role of managing human skills is critically important to keep the organization connected across the business and with the society where it exists. In this context, we need to understand the motivational factors of human resources, human values, human ethics, and the importance of society influencing the human resources. It would, every stage of management, human values and ethics need to be respected as the same replicates, in the aspects of organization culture. On realizing such facts, it is very, very essential for us to understand and relate the philosophy of Lord Basava in management in order to achieve the development of human resource. Basava philosophy, it advocates the new dimension to management in developing human resources. There has been studies conducted on Basava philosophy, which unveiled the key concept. Philosophy that is about kayaka, the work. Dasoha, it is sharing. Whatever I need for my and my family, I keep it. And rest, whatever excess I have earned, will be shared with the society. So, which may be related to the contemporary management. Also, there has been a detail on Anubhava Mantapa in a forum set up by Basava, which I talked about, in my, in few minutes earlier. This forum represented today's conference rooms. If you look at it, in the corporate world where discussions and transfer of knowledge happens for the objective of the course. So this was done by Lord Basava in 12th century. Basava emphasizes on compassion for all to attain equality through self-realization. Adherence to moral law within ensures the true progress of human, not only from savagery to civilization, but also from man as a subject to man as a sovereign. So these are the philosophies. Basava has contributed immensely towards the well-being of the society, overall development of human relations. In today's world, every individual mostly build their own desires for materialistic well-being, however ignore they are, they every other aspects of the social needs. This desiring behavior is though not a phenomena as such, it has been present since ages. The early period of individuals practiced occupation, which was mostly hereditary in nature, and they were able to satisfy their needs by exchanging their produced goods and services with goods and services they required. However, in contemporary scenario, hereditary occupations have been replaced by the organizational structures, the entrepreneurial enterprises. So this process has enabled individuals to learn and practice occupations of their choice. This was told by Lord Basava. At that time, the classes, the businesses were fixed by a certain class of people. Basava says, work is voluntary. Anybody can take up any type of job if he or she possesses the experience, the skill, the knowledge of doing that work. So it is not fixed to the caste in which you are born. Anybody can take up any job. And that's what he said in 12th century. Now we are seeing the things are being practiced. Every individual in the society is to be considered for employment. So it is basically on employment, do every individual earn the same? It is not possible. We may not earn the same thing because there is a lot of discrimination between the jobs that we do, but the respect for the job should be same. Whether I am a peon or I am the top of head of the office, I should be respected for my work that I'm doing. It's a devotion. Do women have equal opportunity to work? We are still struggling. We are still trying to provide certain reservations for women to see that they come in the forefront. Do employees follow the organizational ethos? It's a very important question in the today's world. All such questions have been answered by Basava in his writings, in his practices, in his preachings, and in his principles. The course of understanding, the management lessons by the Basava philosophy, it would be appropriate to find, the principles in Basava philosophy, which could be of relevance to human resource management. We are struggling to manage people. Management of human resource is one of the most toughest job that we see every day. If you look at the Basava philosophy as a model on egalitarian approach, it brings out the essence of work culture, workplace ethos, social responsibility among the individuals. Now, in a fancy way, we talk about corporate social responsibility. This was preached and practiced by Basava in 12th century. Equality among the people, equality among the caste, sex, everything in a commitment to and dignity of the labor. So he talked about work, kayaka. It is a doctrine which explains the dignity of labor. He says that there is no difference in the kind of work one performs, but every work is equal, and therefore oneself should perform it with a total dedication and divinity. It's very important. It is not just a physical act. The jobs that we do, the work that we do should not be just a physical act. It should be the culmination. It should be the culmination of our skills, our mind. Then only it becomes religious. It is basically, the dignity, the skills, all should culminate into the work. Otherwise, it just becomes a physical act and not the kayaka. So Basava expressed through his philosophy about the importance of work. He says, if you are doing your work with all devotion, with all involvement, with all skills that you have embedded in it, then you need not have to worship any God. Your work, your service itself is a worship to the God. You need not have to do anything else. And he says, Kayaka, it emphasizes the dignity of labor, divinity of labor. It should encourage the divinity of labor. It not just the dignity of labor, it should encourage divinity of labor. So to what extent we will be able to do it? And the second most important preaching and practice of Lord Basava is dasoha. Dasoha is sharing excess, whatever we have earned. Keep for your comfortable life, whatever is earned by you, and whatever excess you have earned, give it to the society, people who are in need of it. So the principle of sharing emphasizes that the earning which is in excess than required to satisfy the physiological needs of an individual should be shared through distribution for the wellness of the society. So that is the beauty. By this amassing of wealth will not be an aspect of society. Otherwise, every member of the society will serve to care each other's voluntarily. But now we are completely embedded in amassing wealth. People want to amass wealth for his life, his son's life, his grandchildren, great grandchildren. They want to amass wealth for at least next 5-6 generations. And that's how we have fallen into the trap of all the worries and all difficulties. If you look at this work, because his entire philosophy talks about the work, which he says, Kayaka Kailasam, it means work is divine. So how he made people to embrace work, how he developed, how he pushed people to develop that work culture. So he says it is one of the most important things. Otherwise, we are not going to live a worthy life. When it comes to sharing, he says, engaging in social responsibility. It is not just I'm living for myself. I need to engage myself, serve to care for each other in a voluntary way, not that somebody should come and push you. It's not the case. Stakeholders, relationships, aligning and achieving the organizational goal, all should become part of a human life, adopting and contributing to the society and also the work ethos. All these things, we find them in all the preachings of Lord Basava. If you look at the application of Basava's philosophy to the business environment, because I will not be able to, there are hundreds of mystic writings which talk about it. The key principles of Basava philosophy, which is relevant to the business environment, is the first one is work, second one is sharing, third one is equality, fourth one is mobility, fifth one is humanity, sixth one is devotion, seventh one is culture, work culture, eighth one is ethical practices, ninth one is economic responsibility, 10th one is social responsibility, 11th one is clarity in communication, 12th one is leadership, 13th one is spiritual approach to life, and then 14th one is emotions, and 15th one is the relationship between the people. We now talk about customer relations. All these 15 principles of business environment we find in one or the other philosophies or the preaches of Lord Basava. Take about our taxation. He talks about taxation. And when you earn, you are bound to pay the taxes to the government. So he talks about taxation in 12th century. And every one of us will try to avoid taxes. Maximum possible, wherever we can avoid, we will try to avoid. So that's how. So basically, what I am trying to say here is, if you look at the essential ingredients of work culture, he says, theory could be, the Kayaka theory, the work theory can be, summarized in a very few lines. I would like to just make it short and simple. One should not remain idle and depend on others for living. As whatever you can do, to your knowledge, to your skill, to your age, to your energy, you have to do the work. So that is the important philosophy that Lord Basava says. Should be engaged in an honest and productive work. There should not be any dishonesty, no dishonesty in earning, and your earnings should be shared by others. That is dasoha. It is the easiest means to achieve the tenet. Should not have any expensive and evil habits. I need not have to explain. We all know about it. And no saving for the day or for tomorrow. No work should be treated as high or low. Many people, we have again the classes in the job sector. In the job sector, people, the bosses, they feel that they're at the top. No, he says every work is same. Same respect should be given to everybody and anybody who is involved in character. So it is the most important thing. Before I conclude, I should talk about the Kalyana Revolution. How Basava's, the preachings reached the acme of a revolution. Basaveshwara of society, philosophy of classless society, and the new social system was not like, there were a lot of people who used to hate such systems because they were afraid of their status. They were afraid of their jobs. They were afraid of their, their happy life. They never wanted to work, but they wanted to enjoy the higher classes. Such people never liked the preachings of Basava. They have been opposing Basava's philosophy from the beginning, and they were always trying to find a fault with him, get an opportunity to catch hold of it. And one such opportunity, Madhuvarasa was one of the kings in the kingdom of Bijala. He was belonging to a Brahmin caste. And there was another cobbler, Mr. Haralaya. He was a cobbler in the city. And he joined, both of them, they accepted Lingayatism. They joined Anubhava Mantapa, and they were treated equal. Whether you are a minister, whether you are a cobbler, you have the same status in Anubhava Mantapa. That was the beauty of Lord Basava. They also, the people at the lower strata, they were never allowed to enter temples. Basava talks about Ishtalinga. He talks about Ishtalinga. It is nothing but the form of God. You need not have to go to the temples. You have God. You have to realize God within yourself. He gave that Ishtalinga to the people who were devotees. So what happened? The Madhuvarasa's daughter, a man who was a king in the society, he was a minister in the kingdom. His daughter was given to son of a cobbler. The daughter of minister Madhuvarasa was given in a marriage to a son of a cobbler. This created a lot of unrest in the society. They said cobbler is at the lowest society, strata of the society. And Madhuvarasa, being a Brahmin, being a minister, he was at the highest of the society. So this was the reason, they said this is an unequal marriage. This cannot be accepted by the Orthodox society. The people at the lower strata cannot marry people at the higher strata and vice versa. So the so-called Orthodox leaders started, creating a lot of problems. And this was one reason, and where this was accepted by Anubhava Mantapa. All those 2 lakh people, devotees, 770 representatives accepted the marriage, but not those crooked Orthodox guys. So in that case, the marriage had the approval of the Anubhava Mantapa, but the Orthodox group rose in violence and protested against this marriage. And they raised hue and cry, and they said that their sacred religious system was spoiled by Basava and his followers. The Orthodox group further pressurized the king to take action against Basava and his devotees. He said, King Bijala, he was afraid of, uprising the Orthodox society, because he was afraid of it. And then he ordered that the newly married couple to be punished. Before punishing the couple, Bijala asked Basaveshwar. He said he should agree that the caste system with the system and and stay back in the position. Otherwise, Basava was to quit his prime minister position and move out of the kingdom. So that was the punishment. And Basava says, I have come here to see an equal society, people being equal in the society. I have achieved it. And one best example is the marriage between a high caste boy, a girl, and a low caste boy. So that is it. And he says in one of his final dialogues to the king that this will be the reality in the days to come. There will be marriages between the classes, between the creeds, between the castes, and this will bring equality among the people, and the entire caste system will be abolished. And later, the king, who was pressurized by this orthodox clause, announces the punishment to Madhuvarasa and Haralaya and those two children who got married. They were tied to the legs of the elephant. Their eyes were removed and they were pulled on the roads of Kalyana kingdom. And this created a lot of pain to all the Sharanas, the devotees of Basava. And Basava leaves the kingdom and comes again back to Kudala Sangama Deva. So this we call it as Kalyana revolution. The sacrifice of those four great souls. What today we are seeing is the equality between the people of different caste, creed, color in this country. So that is, we call that as, revolution. The being punished, Basaveshwara left. He said with a very heavy heart, he says, I will not stay here anymore. I have done my job. I have preached, practiced, taught people the rituals of equality and not the rituals of inequality. So he comes back to Kudala Sangama. And then all these Sharanas, devotees, moved and they spread across the entire state of Karnataka, Telangana, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, other places in the southern part of India. So they also, on his way to Kudala Sangama, he did not just go like that. He used to preach people about humanity. He preached about morality. He preached about honesty. He preached about simplicity and dignity of labor, equality among all human beings. So he was a perfect yogi and he attained union with his cherished god Kudala Sangama Deva in 1967. So to conclude, Basava recognizes that social equality could not be achieved without economic equality. We have to empower people economically. The work and sharing are the two pillars of economic justice and economic democracy. Today, we see a lot of unequal distribution of wealth, and which is one of the most important reasons for all the wars, fights, all sort of things in the society. Kayaka literally means the physical work, the work done by the body, but it should embody the principles of dignity of man, dignity of labor, and the divinity of labor. Work as worship becomes a revolutionary force, in the period where global economic system is based on the end to work. Kayaka in the contemporary times, can create new energies to end up unemployment and inequality in the society. Work is thus simultaneously a spiritual category, a social justice category, and an economical sustainable category. Wealth without work was also one of the 7 social sins, according to Mahatma Gandhi. So establishing work as worship can be a revolutionary force in our times, as it was 8 centuries ago, Lord Basava, for creating just and sustainable society, which enhances the human dignity and the equity in the society. So this was in brief about Lord Basava, a greatest saint, a greatest social reformer, born in Karnataka, but his fame is spread across the world, the globe. I take this opportunity to thank all great intellectuals who have been part of this fellowship program, this evening talk. I extend my special thanks to Professor Matthew for giving me an opportunity to share few ideas. What I have presented today to you is 0.0001% of what Basava has done. So I will not be, able to, read, write, understand, preach. Maybe I may need 10 to 15 lives to come back and do his, service. With this great, uh, you know, happiness of sharing few ideas, principles, philosophies, practiced and preached by Lord Basava. I say thank to every one of you for a very patient listening, and look forward to see you again and sometime. Thank you very much. Sharuna Sharanarthi.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ashok Alur. It was a stunning, moving, inspiring, motivating, powerful lecture on this Krantivira, the revolutionary leader who has given an integral development of human society through the various means, not only equality, fraternity, but also the spiritual, considering everyone as equal. And he was, at the end, we see that how people were, and even the powerful who could not control the social change. And I think that such a great revolutionary leader is really touching us even today. That is what we listen to you very powerfully. You have given us a little mosaic of what he has given and achieved through our life. As you said, when I came to Bangalore, I have been taken to different parts of Bangalore and showed us this is Vidhan Saudha. And in front of the Vidhan Saudha, it is written that government work is God's work. So that was the first time I heard about Basaveshwara. So it was said that this is one of the vachanas, and which showed that, the service by the political leaders, it is to serve the people, and it is also the God's work. And you have shown us through his life, and the Vachana Mandapa, the parliament, and then how the social harmony, how he developed, and he designed and a new society. And I think that his great vision is much more than a revolutionary one, but it is a God-sent transformation of the society. But unfortunately, because of our own close-mindedness, selfishness, still we are difficult to achieve that great goal he has placed to us. So I must say that, sir, it was really a great lecture, and we really appreciate. And there will be lots of questions. I have seen that, there are many people who are saying a very outstanding lecture. Yes, Anna Mary has said that very outstanding lecture, a new philosophy, work and prayer, very interesting. Then Jagannath Gowda, who said, thank you, Dr. Ashok Alur sir, for your wonderful sharing. And a living life of the community by Bernard, excellent sharing, Dr. Ashok, and a living life of the community. The Samuel Sunith, a historic understanding of Basava. Can you elaborate how his vachanas became so popular? Who was behind his work for the publication? So I think that will be a question. Maybe you could elaborate it, sir.
Thank you, Samuel Sunith. It's a wonderful question. See, the vachanas, the mystic writings by all the saints of Basava and his contemporaries were completely out of experience, their experience. And these vachanas, they indicate ways and means to resolve the problems faced by the people in the society. And they were discussed, and they were, added value by the entire Anubhava Mantapa, the Parliament of Knowledge. And then they were finalized and then released. And for your kind information, most of the devotees in Anubhava Mandapa, most of these people in this parliament of knowledge, they were not formally educated. And if you look at the writings, if you look at the vachanas written by Akka Mahadevi, there are cases where people have done 10 doctorates on one vachana. Look at the depth of knowledge that is there. I did not touch upon few things. The vachanas of Lord Basava also talks about several sciences. Because of paucity of time, I did not go into it. Many times I always tell Father Matthew, I would like to do a additional doctoral degree, understanding the real concept of Lord Basava and his, contemporary saints, talking science in their vachanas. One of the contemporary, saint, Channa Basavanna. Channa Basavanna was the, son of Lord Basava's sister, and he was recognized, and he is called as Chinmaya Dnani, the most intellectual scholar of Basava's time. And he talks about the development of baby in the womb of the mother. I'm talking about 12th century. And if you understand the entire Vachana, it talks about different stages of development of the fetus. And the way we look at the scanning report and his Vachana represents that. I'm just trying to say they were real intellectuals. The Vachana Sahitya was destroyed by the Orthodox class after the Kalyana Revolution. They wanted to remove them. They wanted to finish the entire literary movement started by Lord Basava and his devotees. But some of them, what we got is very less. 196 vachanas were written by the Sharanas. We have got few thousands only now. They were, destroyed by the Orthodox class. And after that, there were a lot of people, kingdom of Vijayanagara, they all supported. And these vachanas were gathered from different people. They were written on the palm leaves, right? They were collected, they are published, and all of them were in Kannada only. Now they have been translated into more than 25 languages within India and across. They are also into foreign languages. So this work is being done by the government of Karnataka. We have a Basava Samiti headed by a very, a priestly gentleman, a man who has devoted his complete life for this. Mr. Arvind Jatti, he has taken the lead to publish them for the benefit of people. We had a great scholar called Professor M.M. Kalaburgi, and it was his devotion to the entire Vachana, literature. He, translated them into several languages. So these are, some of the institutions which are working, and all these publications are available in English now.
I think maybe if you would like to ask questions, please, this is the best time to ask this exponent, and from his profound way of speaking, he knows so much of wealth. Yes, Sukumar.
Sir, Professor
Sukumar says,
Ashok, sir.
Sukumar says, how were the last days of Lord Basava? As I mentioned to you, after the Kalyana Revolution, Basava was pained because 4 lives were, given a very, what should I say? It's a very ill treatment. The punishment, they were killed actually. Virtually, they were killed. They were tied to the legs of the elephant, and they were, taken away in an open procession in the city, and they were killed. Their eyes were removed. This was a very painful event for Basava. But he said, this sacrifice of those 4 great souls will be a lesson to the whole world. This will bring down the differences between the caste, creed, color, sex, all that. So Basava was very, very painful. It was very painful, item for Basava, but he had the satisfaction of bringing awareness among the people in the society. So after 900 years we still recognize him, because see, we don't believe in any form of God, but we believe his preachings. We follow whatever possible extent, we follow his teachings. So that is the great thing. So his last days, he was very unhappy when he left the Basava Kalyan, the kingdom. He comes back to Kudala Sangama, his deity, the place where he learned, he got all the worldly knowledge of the society. He comes back there and he becomes one with the God. So, but if you look at the life sketch of Lord Basava, it's uncomparable. It's uncomparable. And same, we can compare life of Jesus Christ with Lord Basava in most of his, preachings and practices in the real life.
Anyone else? Yes, Father Gabriel Lobo.
Dr. Ashok,
Yes,
I
Father.
I'm very much concerned about what you said about Basavish. He fought
Vara.
with such strength, such
Yes, Gabriel,
Father.
your sound is.
Father, I'm not able to hear you properly, Father. Sorry, would you mind repeating it once again?
Dr. Ashok,
Yes,
I
Father.
was very much concerned, and how Basavish, with such a determination, fought caste system. And if we see today's society, do you think, Dr. Ashok, we are able to face this situation, which is still grim and which is still threatening the society so much? What do you
Yes,
think about?
Father, it's a wonderful question, I should say. But if you look at the determination, when Basaveshwara was a child, I was talking about his childhood. He had a friend who came from the lowest strata of the society. And the boy was somehow passing through a place where other, priestly children were learning. It was not allowed that the children belong to the lower strata should not study any of this, higher education. So this boy was listening to the preachings of the teacher, and he was given a punishment. The hot lead was poured into his ear. And that time, Lord Basava decided that I should abolish this entire caste system. Every human being should be respected. People should be treated equal in the society, irrespective of the fact whether they come from a lower state of the caste or the upper state. He says the rights given to the legitimate child and an illegitimate child, it is not the mistake of the child who don't know who is his father, but the child is a child. He has no choice. He has no choice for his parents, but they should be given equal rights. The prostitutes who were in the kingdom were preached, and they were taught the righteous ways of earning their livelihood and not doing the flesh trade. I did not touch many of those things, but I completely agree. We are again going back to the system wherein we are trying to divide the society based on the caste, creed, color. But Father Lobo, I have full belief that the system of taking away the caste system is not far away. Many times there are a lot of intercaste marriages. That's what he dreamt at that time. It's because of Lord Basava we were seeing them. It means directly or indirectly the dream of Basava, removing the caste system. Now there's a marriage between the upper caste and the lower caste. Nobody can stop it. Though there's still a lot of orthodox forces trying to pull them apart, but things cannot be stopped the way they were doing earlier. So let us hope that his preachings, people knowingly or unknowingly, the philosophy of Basava, trying to bring equality in the society. Let us, it is the greatness that, all of us are so open. In those days, people were not ready to listen to the religious, holy preachings of other community. Basava says all communities, all religions are equal. It is his preaching which has really made our heart so broad that we respect other religions. We respect the preachings. We respect the teachings of the so-called social reforms, the great leaders of each and every religion, whether it is Jesus Christ, whether it is Muhammad Paigambar. So the entire, the essence of the teaching of all these, religious leaders is one and the same, but we don't have a broad mindset to analyze them in the right way, adopt them in our daily life. I think a great work from all people like you should push society towards equity and equality. So that is the only way left with us to live a priestly life.
Dr. Ashok, I think that it was a wonderful lecture, and this great revolution, that Kranti Veera Kalyana revolution, I think we have to take up, even as Father Gabriel was saying. So this egalitarian society, how to transform the society with equality, with the importance of work, and then we are all together. There is no discrimination, high, up, down, left side, so with that we are all equal. I think we have to carry on. And as you have already said that it will take so much of time, and then also so much to speak about, and then to work. But I think if we are committed, we can continue. One thing I really appreciated, that some 10-15 years ago, I had the opportunity to guide one Catholic sister. I told her about Akka Mahadevi.
Mahadevi.
Yes, and then I told her also about the Vachanas. So we went together to the Basava. I think there is a
Kalyana.
play. No,
Basava
not Basava
Kalyana.
Kalyana, but here in Bangalore, all the documentation about him, the books, and then this sister is from Karnataka, so she could learn and read. And then she came up with some of these vajanas, which I also heard from many of the villages where the people were singing.
Yes.
So one really struck me, that is in the 12th century, Akka Mahadevi has written that, Chenna Mallikarjuna, why have you pierced my heart? I experience the pain and the pleasure. So this 12th century writing, the mystical writing of Akka Mahadevi, in the 16th century in the Spain, Saint Teresa of Avila. So she almost the same. She was asking Jesus that, why you have pierced my heart? I experienced the pleasure and the pain. So these two great mystics, beyond the religious traditions and beyond the geographical boundaries, they were capable of experiencing unity, oneness, being with the divine, expressed almost the same. So that struck me, and that made me to go deeper and deeper into these vachanas. As you have said, it is so deep, and sorry that to hear that many have been lost. But I must say that it was really great. Thank you. And everybody was asking that if you can have this write-up sent to us, so that we will share with them, and we will make it as a part of the book. Definitely this Hindu Christian dialogue will come out as a book, and then definitely that will be also helping in continuing the great revolution you have given to us.
Father Samuel Sunit is asking one question. Lingayats work like that of Christians in community development. Basava was one of the reasons? Excellent. This is a wonderful question. It is only Basava and the contemporary devotees of his time, or the people who laid the foundation in the Lingayat sect to serve the community with all commitment and submission. So it is definitely Basava and his contemporary Sharanas who did it. Before I close, I was trying to remember one Vachana written by Lord Basava. I will first say it in Kannada and then try to translate it to the possible extent. But one of the Vachana says, ಬೆಳೆವ ಭೂಮಿಯಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಪ್ರಳಯದ ಕಸ ಹುಟ್ಟಿ ತಿಳಿಯಲೀಯದು ಎಚ್ಚರಲೀಯದು ಎನ್ನವಗುಣವೆಂಬ ಕಸವ ಕಿತ್ತಿಸಲು ಲಿಂಗ ತಂದೆ ಸುಳಿದೆಗೆದು ಬೆಳವೆನು ಕೂಡಲ ಸಂಗಮದೆ. He says, ಬೆಳೆವ ಭೂಮಿ means he talks about science of agriculture. He compares the human soul, the human heart, as one of the most productive and fertile land, wherein kasa means the weeds, the notorious weeds, which grow and compete with the crops. Like the best, morals in the heart are sown by preachings of Basava, but there are unknowingly sown seeds of, weeds, which are not sown by anybody, but they compete. They grow so luxuriantly in our mind, means they will always try to pull us towards wrongdoing. So Basava says, you remove those weeds from my heart. I will grow, I will branch out, and I will give everything to the society. So every human being, knowingly or unknowingly, we are seeding the weeds, and those weeds of unwanted culture in the heart to be removed, and we should only protect the best crops and that are the best morals in the life. Thank you, Father. Thank you very much.
Yes, I request Sukumar to say a few words of thanks, and then we will conclude.
Sir, on behalf of all of us, I sincerely thank for the stunning presentation. It is not just a presentation, it is a life inspiring presentation. It is one of the best presentations that we have today. I sincerely thank, by listening this amazing lecture on the life of Basavanna, you ignited and sparked many of our minds. It is really admiring to know he was a man of multi-talents. He was an economist, he was a leader, he was a champion of gender justice, community development. He was and is a real champion. So it is really inspiring. You touched our hearts and minds. I'm sure this fire will go intellectually to wider dimensions. It is maybe just a 1 hour presentation, but this spark will spread to wider dimensions. We remember you for your fantastic and stunning presentations, Professor Ashok sir. We also knew you as a friend of our director. Many times we saw you in the ECC campus as a simple man and humble man. We salute you on behalf of all of us. Sincere thanks to you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your wonderful words. I remain obliged.
Minlun, yeah. What is your next?
Yes, yes, Father. Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for the very enlightening session. And indeed, you are a very good orator. As my colleague Sukumar has said, you have sparked our mind. And my curiosity on Basavaswara arose. So, let me give all those questions to ask you when we meet in person here. Thank you so much, sir. And friends, our next topic will be on Saint Ignatius by Father Sunny Jacob S. next Thursday, same time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.